Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, we've got stock index futures, commodities, and cryptos all trading lower in the pre-market. It's kind of weird. This is the last trading day of the month, but, is the market reacting to the government shutdown? Is it reacting to things Trump has said overnight or earnings? It's really hard to tell what the catalyst is, but uh, traders have pressed the sell button this morning. On Friday mornings, I like to print off some weekly charts just to see how we're doing so far. Now, gold was up $335.30 up till last night's close, and it is down a little over $200 in the pre market this morning. We've got silver up $13.09 on the week. It is down $10, $12 in the pre market right now. We've got a little pullback in crude oil this morning, but up $4.35 on the week. We've got natural gas up over 8%. It's run into resistance on the daily charts. We'll look at that in a minute. Then looking at gold stocks, they've traded and closed slightly higher this week so far. Then looking at energy stocks, they're outperforming gold stocks this week. Then looking at the TSX 60 with some of the bank stocks trading lower this week, we're down slightly on the week. We also have the TSX Composite down a little over a third of a percent as well. Looking at the S&P 500, we're up a little over 0.75%. The Nasdaq up a little over 1%, and then we've got the Russell 2000 down a little over 0.5% on the week. Semiconductors continue to lead the market higher, up over 4% so far coming into Friday's trading action. Again, these numbers are certainly going to change on Friday. Now, the U.S. dollar index is down. It's up in the pre-market this morning. For the week, it's down a little over 1.33%. What we're looking at here, if we go back to a monthly chart, you can see that for the month, we are certainly down, but we've got a ways to go before we get back to the lows from 2020 and 2021. Hey, we watched the S&P 500 tag 7,000 the other day. Yesterday, it put in a lower high, and it ran down to our next price target and found support there. We'll have to see if that support holds. And then below that, we've got the low from earlier in January, and that is certainly going to be critical. If it does not hold that, then it's going to break the pattern of higher highs and higher lows. And if we start to put in a lower low, that's a bearish sign for the market. Now, so far, we're holding the 50-day moving average. You can see the 100 and the 200-day down below. And previously in November, we ran down to the 100-day moving average. And of course, the market will be watching to see if the S&P 500 is able to hold those levels. Now, coming into Friday's trading action, we are still on a buy signal here. We did trade through the lower channel line yesterday, but did not close below it. Now, we've been keeping an eye on the VIX, of course, and while the S&P 500 was trying to punch through and make higher highs at the 7,000 level, there was no corresponding action in the VIX. The options traders have been holding the options premiums up, telling us that they are concerned about which way the market is going, and we had a nice pop in the VIX yesterday on the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and for the Russell 2000. So options traders holding their cards very close to their chest, certainly not as enthusiastic as stock traders have been over the past week or so. Now, there was some disturbance in the Magnificent Seven yesterday. The ETF actually drove down to the lower channel line before moving back up. It closed lower on the day. If we close below yesterday's low, that would give us a new sell signal, and that would be kind of bearish because that's a lower high. And if we start breaking down, we'll have to see if the low from previous earlier in January continues to hold. Now, in the news, of course, we've got Meta, which popped, had a huge update yesterday, went up and filled the open gap from back in October. And that may be as high as Meta can go at the present time. Our next mathematical target is 750, but it did fill the gap. And there's Meta on the TSX as well. Now, the other side of that trade, of course, is Microsoft. Big loss for Microsoft yesterday, down a tick under 10% on the day. So Microsoft not impressing anyone with their earnings, and we drove right down to our next channel line of 421.88, and the low on the day was 421.02 before bouncing off that level. Looking at Tesla, well, Tesla generated a buy signal the other day, then a sell signal. I thought if we could hold on, the market would come back, but that's not what's happening for Tesla at the moment. We're still holding on to the 437.50 level and haven't broken away from that just yet. Still stuck to it. You can see below the next two targets, but to get to 375, we did not get that low back in November. So there's some support around the $400 level for Tesla. Then looking at Tesla in Toronto, same situation, no difference there. Now, Shopify was actually up on the day yesterday, but certainly nowhere near a buy signal coming into Friday's trading action. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum are both trading sharply lower in the pre-market this morning, so no change in trend for either of those cryptocurrencies on Friday. Looking at the world of energy, there was a huge update yesterday in the price of crude oil trading up above the high that we saw from late September. Natural gas was up on the day, but still stuck here trying to break out above the 391 level. 430 is our next target to the upside with a possible stop at $4. Then looking at the energy sector itself, there's the iShares for the TSX 60 moving up over 1% on the day. We had the U.S. energy stocks up just under 1% on the day, breaking out above the $50 level and then hitting the 51.56 level. So if you had an order in up there, congratulations, it got filled. Looking at the metals, we had just a massive day for copper yesterday. It is down in the pre-market this morning, but a huge move for copper. Gold continued to move higher and ran up to our next price target, which was 56.25, and just stopped at that level. Looking at the price of silver, silver made a new high yesterday. All of these are trading lower in the pre-market this morning. We're trying to get to $112.50. Did not get there yesterday. Then looking at copper miners made a new high yesterday. We had a new high for gold stocks in Toronto. We had a new high for gold stocks in New York, both trading lower at the close, down on the day after making those new highs. Still on buy signals, no change in trend for either. Then looking at the junior gold miners, similar situation. They traded up, but not a new high, but basically tagged the previous high. And then we had silver miners pull back yesterday as well. So no change in trend for any of those, but that could change on Friday with the selling we're seeing in the pre-market this morning. At some point, people want to take some money off the table, and Friday could be the day. Now, quick look at the Canadian market, starting with the Vanguard Canada ETF. So this is based on the composite. It was down yesterday. It traded below the lower 10 line, but did not close below it. So still looking for a close on Friday below $66.74. And once again, we're still stuck to the 67.19 level, close just below that at 67.07. Now, we looked at the energy sector earlier, but I just wanted to note that not only did the U.S. energy sector trade up to the next price target, so did the Canadian energy sector with the iShares for the TSX energy sector up to the 21.88 level. We got as high as 21.86. So if you had an order in just below that level, below the 21.88 level, it got filled yesterday. So congratulations. Now, financials had an inside day yesterday. They traded higher. Bank stocks had an inside day. They also traded higher. If we look at some of the banks, CIBC came back yesterday, is actually back on a buy signal. Not something I would take. We've been up in this level for a while now, and I'm not going to jump back in and try to see if the CIBC can run up to the 131.25. Just wave off that signal. Looking at who's in control right now, you can see that things are pretty messed up here. We call this spastic, where the pros and the public don't know what's going on, and they have no uh, real motivation to do anything at the moment. Then looking at the National Bank, we've been on a sell signal for a few weeks now, and we were up yesterday, but no change in trend there. We also saw the Royal Bank trade higher yesterday, having an inside day, so no change in trend. And then we had the TD Bank make a new low yesterday for this move, and then closing higher on the day, but again, no change in trend. Let's finish off taking a look at the U.S. market, and there's the Vanguard Total Market ETF. It traded through the lower channel line yesterday, but did not close below it, and it put in a lower high yesterday. The Dow still a drag, no change in trend there. Then we've got the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, both traded through the lower channel line yesterday, but no change in trend. That could happen on Friday. What worked yesterday on the S&P 500? Well, we saw Southwest Airlines up nearly 20% on the day. That's not something you see very often. And then Royal Caribbean Cruises was the next big winner. What didn't work was Las Vegas Sands, which popped on Wednesday and then completely rolled over on Thursday. And then we had United Rentals was down nearly 13% and trading below the recent lows from back in November. So very bearish chart for United Rentals. Okay, folks, that is all for Friday morning's presentation. So far, it looks like the market wants to do a little selling on Friday morning. Have a great day. If you're a member, next time you'll hear my voices on Sunday. If you're not a member, we'll be back here on Monday morning to look at what happened on Friday.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.